Dude, the weather has been so nice lately in the last 2 days. It's horrible.
I know. Yesterday it was like it's the same thing today actually. It was like almost like very dark at 3:30
I
yesterday.
know. It's ridiculous. I hate
But I don't know how I'm like I don't know if these are allergies or if I'm like sick again. I was sick right as I got back here for like 2 weeks and I had like 2 weeks of healthiness and now I'm just like sick again. I'm like, what?
mine was definitely allergies because I'm better now. But it was like bad. Like I was like lethargic, my nose was running, my head was hurting, like
Ugh.
it was nuts. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back everybody to another episode of the Sideline. My name is Rishioza,
My name's Asher Hire.
and we got a basketball heavy episode for this one. We're going to talk about the finals, first two games gone by, Boston up 2-0. I'll touch on some stuff the Nuggets should do. The draft is coming up in about 2 weeks now, 2 weeks from this Thursday. It'll happen. Denver has a pick in it. We'll talk about if they should trade it, if they should use it, what should they do. And then some other big news in college with Dan Hurley, his news today returning to coach to UConn. We'll start with the finals. I'll ask you, has there anything that's been surprising to you over the first two games, or is it just kind of what you expect with Boston up 2-0 with relative ease, I'd say?
It seems like it's gone pretty much according to plan. Maybe I would say like Porzingis has been a nice surprise for the Celtics with how effective he's been, and then obviously like on Dallas's end, Kyrie hasn't gotten going at all in his 2 games at Boston. Obviously, he had that like post post game quote after game one where he was like, "Oh, I thought they were going to be louder." And he finished game one with like 12 points, and then game two with 18 points. Not efficient at all. The Mavericks need him to be good to keep up with the Celtics. The Celtics shooting like has just been so. I mean, it's crazy. Like they haven't fallen off at all, even in the playoffs. Maybe they'll have a rough game here, rough game there. But man, I mean, majority of the time they're always just shooting lights out from three. Game two, they had a little bit of like you know they weren't playing their best. They weren't shooting their best, especially in the first half of game two. But then kind of built up a lead in the second half. Um, I think like as I've said, like Boston gives you a chance to win one of the first 2 games at Boston because they always have home court advantage. So like games one or two at Boston, they always give you a chance. Like Miami won that game.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana should have won game one. Man, I mean
They
that
should have
that
won
like
both. They should have won game one and
yeah,
two.
yeah. And then, Dallas here finally has a chance in game two. And, you get like a Kyrie stinker. So it kind of stinks from that end. But um other than that, nothing has been I mean, Drew Holiday's been awesome. Uh but that I mean that's pretty expected too. But I don't know what has stuck out to you.
Yeah, I would say honestly, it's Drew Holiday. Like I thought, the trade that they made when they got him, everyone knows what he brings you in the regular season. He's going to be the best guard defender in the league. He's going to be a decent offensive player. He's not going to be an all star. I mean, he was an all star last season, I think, somehow. But I think that he's just going to give you like 15ish points on decent efficiency and some elite defense. But when the playoffs come around, you don't really know. Like the last few seasons have been such hit or miss seasons from him, specifically on offense. And last year on defense, I thought he really sucked because Jimmy Butler took it to him and he couldn't do a thing in the first round against Miami. And yeah, I know Giannis was out for a few games that series, but Drew Holiday was not good on offense, and he was getting it taken to him every single possession by Jimmy Butler, especially in that game four when Jimmy had like 53 or whatever and had like 30 in the fourth. Every single buck was on Drew Holiday, and he's completely took away Kyrie Irving. I think Derek White, and Jalen Brown, they are the three best defenders Kyrie has ever seen in a playoff series. I think I thought last series it would have had a chance because of how good Minnesota defensively is, but I mean it's not even close. Like those guys did not bother him whatsoever. McDaniels and Anthony Edwards and Conley and they were fine. Like Kyrie didn't even see them, but Derek White, Drew Holiday, and McBrown, their physicality and their attention to detail on him is ridiculous. And I think that's a huge reason why. Like Kyrie, I think he's getting some of the shots he wants, especially in the mid range, but he can't get to the rim. Like I thought last game was a little better, but game one he could not get to the rim. He was forced into taking difficult jump shots. But Drew Holiday's been a huge part of that. Last game he was the best player on the court. Um, I thought game one he was really really good, and I think that's kind of the big thing. Like if Drew Holiday is going to be an efficient third or fourth option for you on offense, that Boston team is literally unstoppable. I think Porzingis was elite in game one. He was okay in game two. Obviously, he was off the bench. I think he got injured a little bit as well there in the third quarter. Um, but Drew Holiday kept everything going. He was hitting three. He hit that huge three. Dallas cut it to like 8, like 4 minutes to go, and then they got a stop, and then they turn it over immediately, and then Drew Holiday hits that three, and then Derek White hits the three again. It's like, man, that took the game away, and I think those two have been so huge, especially on defense, but offensively, um, the Dallas just does not have enough perimeter guys to be able to stop all of them. Like they have to put all their attention towards Tatum and Brown. And you're seeing like Tatum had a bad shooting game, but he had 11 assists. It's because they're overreacting to everything that's happening. Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
that I think Drew Holiday's been incredible. He's been exactly what they traded for, which is a lot to say because he has definitely had his struggles the last few seasons.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of how the Dallas defense is, and like they've played, decently similar teams. I would say like the Clippers and OKC, the way that they run their offense is pretty similar to the way Boston does. With they try to get a mismatch, SGA or Harden or Jalen Brown or Tatum try to get a mismatch, and then you attack them one on one, collapse the paint and then kick it out. And Jalen Brown has done and Tatum have done an exceptional job. I feel like especially Jalen Brown attacking the rim, his rim like presence and his just the way just how strong he is inside is so tough. Tatum misses a lot of layups.
Yeah.
I mean a lot of layups. Like if he's not in there slamming the ball, if he's attempting a layup, so many of them just hit the backboard and then hit like the front of the rim and then fall off. But still, he's getting into the paint. What makes Boston so tough is they legit like always have 5 shooters around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what separates them compared to a team like OKC, where Dallas could collapse on SGA and then leave Dort, leave Giddy, leave Williams, Kenrich open for three, and they'd be fine with that. You can't do that with Boston. You can't just leave Derek White or Drew Holiday out there. And, you know, OKC had a good shooting big like Chet, but they don't have great shooting wings. The Clippers have great shooting wings, but they don't have a outside shooting threat at the big man position. Boston has both, and that's with Horford and Porzingis as the two big men. It's like, what do you even do? Because that is Dallas's style of defense. Is Luka's going to get beat off the dribble most likely, but then you collapse, and the two big men are amazing. Lively and Gafford and Kleber even are great. Down in the paint area, but that's playing the Clippers, who don't have a Porzingis who's also spacing the floor, or that's playing OKC where you're comfortable giving Dort and Giddy open threes.
Mm.
But with Boston, even like Sam Hauser shoots 40% from three or more. All these guys, you literally just can't leave open. So if Luka gets beat off the dribble like he always does, I don't know what you just pray that they miss an open three.
Yeah, and I mean that's what happened last game. What they shot like 7 for 30 or something from three in game two. But they hit all the important ones, and they were getting incredible looks. They were forcing turnovers. Their defensive intensity never wavered. Any run that Dallas made, even in the first half when they were up, Boston just stayed connected the entire time. They didn't lose focus, which is like that's a Boston does that a lot. They lose focus very very easily. There's points in the game. It's happened this playoff run where they just forget how to play basketball. It's really really weird, but it hasn't happened so far in the finals, which I thought it would
Yeah.
happen at
I
least in
saw
one of the games.
it happened in game one at the start of the third quarter for like 6 minutes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
And then
But
they
they
immediately snapped out of it and made the lead
Yeah,
20 again.
that yeah. But like they had done their work early. I mean, they were up 20 in the first half. Like they could afford a little bit of a slip um, in intensity. But like game two, they couldn't afford it because Dallas was with them the entire game, and I think that's really really impressive. That's something that they just have not been able to do. Like they just have not been able to stay focused throughout an entire game. A lot of the times, even in this playoff, like against Indiana, it happened, but Indiana was missing Halliburton for 3 games. They were just too young to really, you know, understand the moment. Mitchell was missing, or yeah, Mitchell was missing from Cleveland for the last 2 games, and it happened in there. Um, Jimmy didn't play in the entire Miami series, so like they've had these moments where they slipped up, but they can afford it because the team that they're playing is not that good. They can't do that against Dallas. Dallas is a legit team, so I look at that and I'm like, that's kind of the point where I think Dallas can do it because they have the shooting and they have the firepower to like make Boston pay for that. But Boston, to their credit, they have done a really really good job. I think Tatum, he had a horrific shooting game, but he was exceptional in literally every other facet. His defense, I don't think gets talked about nearly enough because
Oh yeah.
he is an incredible defender. Like he he's been out on the island on Kyrie, he's been out on the island on Luca, and he's shut them both down. He's guarded fives throughout this run. And in the Indiana series, he was guarding Miles Turner for most of that series. He was the guy who was guarding Miles Turner. In the Miami series, he was guarding Bam. So like this is a guy who's extremely versatile on the defensive end. And yeah, sometimes he's gonna shoot you out of games, but he does so many other things uh, that pay off. Like his rebounding, his assists. He had 12 assists. Like he played. He was
Yeah.
essentially the point guard for them. So this Boston team, they're just built so perfectly. And like you said, they don't have any unreliable 3-point shooters. Horford, Porzingis, so the guys on the bench. Pritchard's an elite shooter. House is an elite shooter. Everyone in their starting lineup can shoot the three really, really well. And they just do such a good job with that. And I think that's where Dallas is kind of screwed because their big man cannot make an impact. Like I think Minnesota struggled so heavily to score in the paint in the Dallas series rather than in the Denver series. They were getting in the paint at will almost because Denver couldn't keep anything in front. And obviously Jokic is not a rim protector. So they could do whatever they wanted. But Lively and Gafford, they could sit in the paint because they just they're not going to care about Rudy. They're not going to care about Kyle Anderson out there on the perimeter. But you just can't do that with Boston. So it's so hard. The bigs cannot make an impact. And I thought Gafford did a good job in game two. I thought he took advantage of the mismatches and the size in the second half. But Lively still doesn't have post moves. He can't really take advantage of anything like that yet. So it's going to be hard. Dallas, I think they have a chance. They have 2 games at home now, and they've you know been relatively close in both of the games so far. So we'll see what happens. They need Kyrie to start making some shots, though. I think it all we can say all this we want, but if Kyrie is going to shoot like 5 for 19 again, they're not going to win. They don't have a chance.
Yeah, for sure. He needs to be a lot better. I mean, it's just like it's shots that he usually makes too. He's been terrible from three. Um, I mean, really outside of Luca, they haven't got much. Like PJ Washington's been decent. I think Hardy off the bench has been good. He kind of reminds me of Bruce Brown. What he like gives the Mavericks is like exactly what Bruce Brown
Yeah,
gave the Nuggets. Really, like he can drive, he can kind of shoot, and he plays good defense. And he's like 6'4" and he can handle, but he can also like be in that little like floater area as kind of a big like small guy. So I like him, but man, like other than that, you can't really get anything. That's why you need Kyrie to score because he's like the only guy who's like reliable, I guess, outside of Luca to have, a good offensive game. And he's been getting a ton of praise, man. I don't know I mean, I guess it's just because he went to the finals, but like he hasn't really been like impressive in these playoffs. Like I haven't noticed like in the Timberwolves series, I'm like, okay, like
yeah.
he's
Since the
okay,
first
but
round,
yeah.
he's averaging under 20 points a game since the first round. He has like a couple big games in each of the series, like game five against the Mavs or against
Yeah.
Minnesota. He had a really good game. Most of that series, he wasn't, he's kind of non existent. Same with the OKC series. OKC series, PJ Washington was their best player or their second
Yeah.
best player. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't Kyrie. I'm with you. I like they were talking about it as the most talented backcourt ever, the best backcourt ever, or like Kyrie still being the most skilled player ever. And it's like you gotta relax on it a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's just, I mean, when he's inefficient like that, he doesn't really, give you too much out. I like Luca does most of the playmaking for them. Game one, what was just insane was that Luca only had one assist, and the team finished with 9 assists in total. Like
Yeah, it's
usually, like sometimes Luca gets 9 assists in like the first half, by himself. But um, yeah, I mean, I think just for Dallas to have a chance, maybe when they go back home, this is when Kyrie can have more confidence or whatever. But as you said, man, that defensive trio of Holiday, I mean, really a quartet, their whole lineup. I mean, damn, like Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Tatum. Um, I mean, I don't know how you can get around them in the perimeter, and that's been obvious for Kyrie. And I thought like Luca's kind of been having a little bit of trouble too, like getting in the paint and just getting around these guys. But he's just so strong and he can just shoot over people that doesn't really matter. But for a guy like Kyrie, he actually needs space to get his shot off. And even with that, it's like a lot of fading mid ranges that look very skillful and amazing when they go in, but then you look up and it's like, damn, he's shooting 35%. And it's like, so
yeah,
is he really like this most, maybe he's like the most skilled, but like most skilled consistently? Nah.
yeah. It's hard. I mean, like he is an elite second option. We saw it in Cleveland. I think we're seeing it now, but he just has to be better. If he plays better in both of the games, Dallas wins game two if he's, you know, scoring 25 or has like a 30-point game and makes the shots that he normally does. But that's the thing. I want to highlight this. And I don't know what else we can talk about, but Dallas has the through their from I thought the Clippers series was a bit of an anomaly. They were kind of just getting their feet wet. They didn't shoot the three ball great in that series, but from game two of the OKC series to game five of Minnesota, they were elite from 3-point range. Like they were cooking, and a lot of it was from the corner threes. They made more than 10 threes in every game except was this game two or game one against Minnesota, they were 6 of 25. Outside of that, they made 11 or more threes in every single game, and that is just not at all. That's what's been happening, and it's not just the makes. The attempts are also way down. Dallas gets up a ton of 3-point attempts. They get up 35 a game at least, 35 to 40 pretty much every single game. They haven't even gotten to 30 through the first two games. They're 7 of 27 in game one, 6 of 26 in game two, and they have attempted outside of garbage time. I think they've attempted seven. No, what is this? There's two corner threes in game one outside of
Dude, that's,
garbage time,
yeah,
and four corner threes in game two total.
that's what I was
Total.
gonna. I,
That's
I was like thinking that in my like head. I'm like, they've completely eliminated the Derek Jones corner three or P. Like I haven't seen. I feel like I just haven't seen a Derek Jones or PJ Washington corner three. Maybe like one Jones corner three I can remember. But
they're doing
man,
such a good job. Boston is doing such a good job of not overreacting to any of the drives. They know that they have the help. They know that, Holiday and Brown and Tatum and Hall and Derek White, they can stay in front of Kyrie and Luca. And if those guys are going to beat them, then they're going to beat them in the paint by them shooting, not by them kicking out to the corner threes. Because that's what lost Minnesota and OKC those series. Because PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. were not missing from three. They weren't missing from the corners. But now they just haven't been able to do it. Derek Jones has no confidence shooting above the break. He airballed a wide open look in game two. It was like a huge three. It could have cut the lead down to like five, I'm pretty sure, but he airballed. And that's been the huge thing. The six corner three attempts outside of garbage time is ridiculous. Over two games, and they've only made one, and it was by Luca. And that is not at all going to work. That number has to go up. Um, but by doing that, they have to start scoring in the paint. And when Porzingis is in the paint, Dallas cannot get anything. He is such a ridiculously good shot blocker, and he can sit there and he can sit around the rim because Lively and Gafford aren't a threat on the perimeter. I don't think they respect Kleba enough to actually go out and guard him, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know what other person they could put there at the five um, that can really affect that and force them to get some better spacing out there. But I think that's the key. Dallas just has to get some more threes up, and it has to be from their role players. It's got to be from PJ Washington. It's got to be from Derek Jones. It's got to be from Hardy. If they play Tim Hardaway, he has to get them up. Like it's got to be the role players that get some other shots up because it can't all just be
Yeah.
from Luca.
It might have to be like Tim Hardaway just chucking threes, man, because that's what he likes to do. And like he's their only like real like shooter. Like these guys aren't like Derek Jones and PJ Washington aren't real. They're just like spot up, like they're NBA players. They get all these, amount of threes up per day, and they just have it, whatever, muscle memory down in the corner. But as you said, above the break or flying around screens, Derek Jones is not a shooter. Like he can't just shoot off platform, but Tim Hardaway can, and he can shoot, with hands in his face and stuff. He's an actual real shooter. So maybe he just needs to get in there and throw up shots. But at the same time, he can also just go like 2 for 11 and just be terrible.
Yeah, he can
Um,
very easily shoot you out of a game. He also
yeah,
doesn't play
yeah,
defense.
yeah,
Outside of shooting threes, he doesn't give you anything on offense either. So like it is very much a hit or miss thing. Like, hey, if we're gonna play Tim Hardaway, he has to play good. If he doesn't, we gotta abandon the strategy like immediately. But
yeah.
like I don't think they're that desperate yet because I
No,
think that they can still
relying on
get
Tim Hardaway is crazy.
yeah. They're not at that point yet. I think they can still get good looks and I think that they can still get good shots and play some good offense without it. But I mean, man, they haven't cracked 100 points. They didn't crack 90 in game two. That they didn't crack 100 or 90 in game one. They didn't crack 100 in game two. So Kyrie's got to play better. Um, yeah, they got to figure out a way to get Derek Lively involved on offense. Um, I also will say this: I hate their defensive strategy. I think Dallas. I think Jason Kidd he's been phenomenal defensively. I'm not the biggest fan of his because I think his offensive scheme is really, really boring. I think it's just pick and roll with Luca and Kyrie, and then take it out to corner shooters. And if that doesn't work, Luca and Kyrie have to go ISO and save them. That's literally the only offense that they run. They don't run sets. They don't run plays. Um, but his defensive strategies, I think, have been really, really solid. But this series, I don't like it because they're switching everything. They're putting
Oh
bigs
my
on
god.
the wings, and they're putting smalls on Porzingis. Porzingis like since his time in Washington, he has been the most efficient post-up player in the NBA. And you're making it way easier on him by putting Josh Green or Jaden Hardy or Kyrie Irving on him every single play by switching every single action that Boston runs. And you're putting your point of attack at a worse point because you're putting Klebo or Gafford or Lively on Tatum or Brown, and they're driving right by, and then it's kick, 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 wide open three. I hate that strategy. I don't think just playing. I don't think playing drop is good because I think both Tatum and Brown are good pull-up shooters. I think Holiday's a good pull-up shooter. Derek White's a good pull-up shooter. So you can't give them that space. But you got to hedge. You got to ice it. You got to do something. You cannot like just leave your bigs out on an island and switch and allow Porzingis to get these easy looks on smalls because he's gonna make it every single time. The dude is legit 7'3" and he shoots above his head and he's one of the best post-up players in the NBA. He's gonna take advantage of these switches, and that is what's really annoying to me. I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest. If Dallas can figure out how to stop getting themselves in those positions, then they're gonna be fine.
Dude,
But
that whole
that I
thing
think to me that's bigger than the offensive issue.
that whole thing of switching, I mean, it's just turning into one of my biggest pet peeves. Like watching the Nuggets, the amount of times Murray was on Cat and Cat would
Yeah.
score every single time. And the screens he would set, it's not even like it's a hard thing for Gordon to
No.
fight through. And it's the same thing in the Boston. It's like it's not that hard, but their defensive coverage is just like, oh, we're comfortable with switching everything. You can't you can't do that when you have Porzingis out there. And you can't do that when you have guards, when you have ball handlers like Brown and Tatum and Holiday and White who can all get around. If they have Luca on them or if they have a bigger guy out on them after the switch, they can all get around them. And then that's just what opens everything up for Boston. It's not a super complicated offense. They literally just go down there and then drive and kick, and all their guys are unselfish and they kick, kick, kick until they find an open shooter. And it's just like it all starts with the switch. They're all hunting the switch. Tatum hunts the switch every time. Porzingis gets the switch every time. Um,
I mean, like Boston and Dallas's offense are pretty similar. It's just Boston's coverage is like, hey,
yeah,
we have Derek White and Drew Holiday out there for a reason. We're gonna keep them on Luka and Kyrie. We're not gonna switch that. And if we do switch it, it's not gonna be Porzingis on them. It's not gonna be Horford on them. It's not gonna be Hauser or Pritchard. It's gonna be Tatum or Brown because we're comfortable with those guys. But Dallas is doing is like, yeah, Derek Jones Jr. Yeah, he's guarding Tatum. PJ Washington, he's guarding Brown. But if Luka or Kyrie get in this action, we're still gonna switch it. It's like, man, even if you do that, then you have to double. You have to get the ball in their hands because that's what Denver was doing late in the series against Minnesota. They would switch it, but then they hard double to get the ball out of their hand and they force someone else to make a shot. It didn't work, but at least you're not letting someone else beat you in that position. Dallas it seems like they're very comfortable letting Lively and Gafford and Luca out on an island against Tatum and Brown, and then helping once they make their move. I really don't think that's the strategy to go against Boston.
nah.
I really
Like
don't.
even if you're just like a little late getting it around the screen, and maybe Brown and Tatum like puts the defender in jail or whatever when they have them like on the back hip. But even I would take that defense and them trying to somehow, throw up a floater or something like that, just over just letting them ISO against Luca or like Kleba or something like that. So yeah, I mean that is just becoming one of my pet peeves is just people not fighting through the screens anymore. They really yeah. I mean maybe like the player who can guard 1 to 5 is just going to become even more valuable with all the switching going on. Um so
I I hate. I'm with you on Denver. Denver did it all the time.
yeah.
They did it against the Lakers. They would always put Murray on LeBron. It's like, what do you expect is going to happen in this situation? I don't. If you're not going to double, you're going to let him go 1-on-1. Yeah, I understand you're letting him go 1-on-1, and then you just let him score a two rather than drive and overreact and kick for a three. But like, still, like there's so many ways you could just not be in that position and play straight up defense. And honestly, I think that defense is better. That coverage is better. It works more efficiently, more effectively than switching. But I don't know. We're not NBA coaches.
Yeah.
We just react to what we're seeing on screen. So I'm sure they know more than us, but I just don't like it. I hate watching that happen, and that's probably my biggest issue with
It
Dallas. I think
makes
if
me
Dallas can figure out that coverage, they'll have a better shot because then their defense won't be as compromised, and they're not going to get in these situations because they fouled so much in the first two games as well. I feel like Boston has been in the bonus a lot over the first two games, and it's because they're just putting these smalls or bigs on in mismatch situations, and they don't have any choice. But yeah, that's all I got on this
yeah.
series. I feel
Do
like
you think I
I
want to
don't think it's
ask
over, but
yeah, I want to ask you like one thing. Do you after watching these two games, do you think the Nuggets could have beat the Celtics?
no.
I don't either. I don't either. Because like you see what they're doing to Kyrie, that's the same exact thing they would do to Jamal. And Jamal is having a terrible playoffs anyways.
Yeah, I think if Denver could have beat Boston, they would have beat Minnesota. That's what I like. If Denver was truly a championship contender, they would have won Game 7 against the Wolves. And I think even if they had won that series, it would have been hard to get past Dallas because Luca was on another planet that series. Like he was playing at a legit insane level. I think Gordon's a good defender to have on him. I think KCP is fine on Kyrie, but if Jamal Murray is going to play like he was against Minnesota, they didn't have a chance anyway. And I know he was injured, but he wasn't going to be healthy. If anything, the injury was just going to keep getting worse the more he played with it. So yeah, I think if healthy, yes, I think they would have had a shot. But man, if Boston's playing like this, especially defensively, I mean, this is like they are ridiculously good on defense. Like it would have been very similar to how Minnesota's playing them. Although I think Jokic would have had a much better series. I think that's about it.
Yeah. I also want to like get your opinion on Missoula, like if he's actually a good coach or not. Like I've been trying to figure that out for the past like 3 years. I've always thought of him as not being a guy that could really, lead you to a championship. I just don't like the way he's just weird, just a very weird guy. And so like I'm like, how does he really like coach these guys and like get their respect? But I guess, he does. And it was just like, oh, he was thrown in there like he was one of those coaches sitting in like the back bench, and then all of a sudden he got thrown in the head coach position with Udoka leaving. So it was like, you know, is this guy really qualified for this job? The Celtics have these moments where they look terrible, even with this great roster in the years past. But this year, like I wonder if it's just the additions of Drew and Porzingis that have made them be in this position of where it looks like they're going to win a championship pretty easily. Or has Missoula, gotten better? Defensively is kind of where I like see it, but I'm also like, I don't know. I mean, just adding Drew Holiday and Porzingis, those are two amazing defenders, anyways, and they don't do anything like, you know, extreme, but they play great, unselfish team ball. But maybe that's because their leaders, Tatum and Brown, are unselfish dudes. So I mean, I don't know, like where does Missoula, I guess, stack up against other coaches? Coaches are just so hard to like judge. So I
It's
don't really
really
even know.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is really, really hard to judge him. I would probably put him in like the Steve Kerr category where it's like I don't know if he's a good coach or not because his roster has always been really, really loaded. Obviously, the last couple of seasons for Kerr it's been different because there's been a lot of outside stuff that's happened and that I guess he could have controlled. I don't know, maybe with the Draymond things, but like you know, the first year they won the championship with him, that roster was really, really good. Obviously, the 7-3-9 team, he could have done better in the finals. And then having KD, like, of course they're going to win. Of course they're going to be elite. Um, so I don't. I feel like you kind of have to judge him on that scale, where it's like, yeah, he's a good coach. I think he's a good X's and O's guy. But the talent that that team has, like, I'm sure it makes his job so much easier because he can run whatever he wants. Like, the team is so versatile, both offensively and defensively, that it's just like, what do you like? There's every scheme you can run on offense. You can do defensively. They can do whatever they want, and I think that just makes the job a whole lot easier. I think he's good. I think the locker room definitely respects him. Like that is for a fact, and you know, I think that they can win with him. Obviously, they've shown that, but I don't know. Coaches are really really hard to judge. Like if you're not, I feel like if you're not a media member around the team, judging a coach just based on the game is like that's tough.
Yeah.
That's really
I
hard.
feel like, I mean, it took us a very long time to figure out if Mike Malone was really, the guy. I feel like we figured that out when like the bubble, I would say. After there's those 3-1 comebacks, I was like, okay, he's the guy. But before that, there was like, I don't know. It was just like a weird, I didn't know if he was really the guy, before the bubble, I feel like.
There was definitely you could have thought he might have been like the Mark Jackson before Steve
Yeah, there
Kerr
was those
type of
conversations, right?
situation. Yeah, but I don't know. Well, I mean, coaching in the NBA is so volatile. Like it can change in an instant. Like Budenholzer wins a championship 1 year, then 2 years later he's out
Yeah.
because of two early playoff exits. So
Frank Vogel,
yeah, Vogel happened 2 years in a row. Monty Williams won Coach of the Year and was fired the next year. Like
Dwayne Casey,
yeah,
same thing.
coaching in the NBA is a risky business. I guess speaking of that, we could segue into the next part. We could just touch on it a little bit with
Oh,
Dan
yeah.
Hurley. Um, unless you had anything else to say about the Boston series, but
No, no, no. I think we're good. Maybe just I'm gonna finish my official prediction after 2 games is Boston in 5, I guess.
I think Dallas is 100% winning Game 4, but I don't know if they'll win Game 3. I don't think they'll
Okay.
sweep it all, but like if I think regardless if Dallas wins Game 3 or not, they're gonna win Game 4. But I don't know if they win Game 3 or not. We'll see. So I would say Boston in 5 would be the safe prediction, but I think it can go 6.
Yeah. I guess I also, to me it feels like Dallas is overachieved, right? Like it feels like they're
A
not
little bit.
really like a championship. I've never viewed them this season as a true championship contender, but they've gotten lucky with their matchups with Kawhi being out, not having to face Denver. Yeah, Luka's been great, but they had a lucky PJ Washington series against OKC, which I don't think will ever happen again, having like 25 points in like 3 straight games or whatever that was. So I mean, it feels like they've overachieved and maybe, they've run into actually the best team in the NBA and like it's just you know.
Yeah. It might just be Boston's year. Like I feel like it's kind of
Yeah.
how Denver was last season. Like if Denver plays Boston last year, who knows what happens in the finals? But like this year, Boston, if they play Denver, who knows what would have happened? But this Boston team is just I think they're just too good. I think throughout the entire year they've shown that they're the best team in the league. And yeah, Denver beat them twice.
The only team not to lose to the Celtics, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Hang it up.
oh there was one loss. Boston's like 34-1 when Drew Holiday scores 14 or more points. I'm pretty sure the one loss was against Denver. I think it was that game in Denver when he had like four corner threes in the fourth quarter on
Oh
Jokic or
yeah.
something like that.
Jesus. Right, right.
But I'm pretty
Dude,
sure that
him
loss was
being
against us.
open, him being having all these openings just makes it so much easier for him because he is not, and we saw it in his tenure in Milwaukee, really. He's not good enough to be a number two guy offensively at all. Like he just chucks up shots sometimes, especially with Milwaukee. And he'll still sometimes do that where he like chucks up a random, like very contested three and it's just like, okay, what was that? But when he's open, man, I mean, he's a much better shooter than I thought he was his
Yeah,
entire career when he's open.
no, he's good. I mean, there was all the rumors of him coming to Denver, like Denver trading for him, and like yeah, he would have helped a lot, but Denver would have had to given up Jamal Murray, I think, for that to happen. I think him next to Murray would have been ridiculous. I think that really would have helped. But him without Murray, him as a number two, eh, I
Yeah,
don't think that
yeah.
that would have been right.
He's so smart too with his cuts, like his off the ball stuff, and then he's gotten
Hmm.
way stronger too. Like he used to be a frail guy in New
He's
Orleans.
a tank,
He's
man.
I know he looks like Dort out there.
Yeah,
And when he does this cuts and gets in the paint, he can bang someone and then put up. I mean, he had like two and ones in that to close out that Indiana series, right? Um, man, he's tough.
he's a good player. He's like an elite role player, and everyone's known it. He just had to be in like correct situations. I think Milwaukee the first year when they won, that was the right situation for him. The way Middleton was playing in the playoffs, he didn't really have to be that guy on offense for him. Um, but the last couple seasons, Middleton injured with Giannis injured, like he just this wasn't his year. But now Boston healthy, he's like the clear cut. I think when Porzingis is healthy, he's a clear cut number four option on that team. And that's like the perfect role for him. And I mean, when Derek White's rolling, he's the number five. And it's like, man, Drew Holiday's your five on offense. Like, come on, there's
Yeah,
nothing you can do.
yeah,
There's actually nothing you can do because that's just they're too lethal. But yeah, I think Boston in five. Honestly, dude, Drew Holiday would be my pick for Finals MVP if it were to close right now. I think he's been the best player, at least on Boston, over two games.
yeah. Him or Brown? Because I think,
Yeah,
well, I don't know. I was gonna say maybe Brown's defense has been better, but I don't. I mean, Drew Holiday's an amazing defender, but I just like Brown maybe has made more like highlight plays, like blocking dunks and stuff. But
yeah. Dude, it's so
I don't
like
know.
this team, like they could. I don't know if they can give a Finals MVP because everyone has played such an equal team in terms of who's playing it. Like Tatum, when I talk about him, he had a double double. He was one rebound away from a triple double and was elite in every facet except shooting. Like you could give it to him, and I wouldn't be like, he was probably the most impactful guy on the court. He just isn't putting up stats, but I don't know. It's tough. This Boston team is good, and they're going to be good for at least another like 2 years, like this level of good. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. All right, we'll move on. Uh, Big decision that was made today. That's actually like huge for both college and NBA. Dan Hurley turning down 6 year, $70 million deal from the Lakers. He's going to stay at UConn, which I think is the correct decision. I think in college, I tweeted this out, and it's like college sports change so quick. And we saw it with Cal, right, leaving Kentucky. It was like it was put out that he was considering Arkansas, and then like 3 hours later, the deal was done. So everything moves so quick in college sports. But I think with Hurley, like there were certain guys who came back. They withdrew the draft and they came back. Alex Caravan, a guy who could have been a first round pick, I think, and he came back to try and get a three-peat. And he already missed the deadline to stay in the draft. He would have had to really ruin his college career essentially without knowing that Hurley was going to leave. They got a 5-star with Liam McNeely, who's one of the best players in the country in high school. He's coming to UConn because of Dan Hurley. He would definitely decommit and change the trajectory of his career. So with college, it's hard, especially this late in the cycle, to like change your mind on whether you want to stay or not. But I'm good on it. I'm good with him staying in UConn. I also think that Lakers job is not one that people are going to want. I think, yeah, it's the Lakers. It's like the spotlight. It's cool. It's fun. You get to coach LeBron and AD, and you're going to be a championship contender, or at least in the talks for it. I don't know if you actually will be, but you'll be in the talks for it. But you do bad, all the blame's on you. And if the team is good, all the praise goes to LeBron. So I don't think it's like LeBron's fault necessarily for that. It's just because he's LeBron and everyone's gonna give him the praise for it. But it's uh it's not a fun job to have, and I think Hurley made the right decision staying. What are
Yeah,
your
and
thoughts on it?
I'm
I
happy.
think you're more of a college guy than I am. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy about it just because I think Dan Hurley is like an amazing coach, and if he went to the Lakers, I feel like they're going to be good at just some point. They will be good just because Dan Hurley is there. So I mean, and me being a Nuggets fan, I guess more than I am like, well, I mean that's not like I would say I'm a Nuggets fan and also college basketball fan, like in the same like tier, but you know the teams in the NCAA don't like it's just hard to actually have a matchup with UConn, whereas like the Nuggets will always have a matchup with the Lakers. Um, like you just don't know if your team's actually going to get to the Final Four and play UConn. Like it's just not like I don't know. But the Nuggets, you're going to usually play the Lakers. It feels like in the playoffs, and so not having to go against him is huge because he does run kind of an NBA style, pro offense for sure at UConn. Like they look like the
yeah,
most them and Michigan, the two teams that won the national championships. Michigan seems like the most NFL like
yeah,
style
yeah,
team, and then UConn felt like the most NBA style team, which is kind of interesting that both like the professional styles of play like one in college. So yeah, I mean, obviously huge news in the whole basketball landscape because then that's just like what happens to Liam McNeely. I would feel bad for Caravan, as you said. Like who takes the UConn spot, and then that opens up another spot at some place, and it's just this whole reshuffling of things. If Hurley actually took that job, so very interesting. It's been a weird reporting world with Shams
yeah,
saying that JJ Redick is the front runner, and Woj never even like touched on that. Maybe he said one
yeah.
time that Redick could be an interview, but it was never like, oh, he's the front runner. So I was always like kind of like skeptical about like Shams because Shams kind of has these like weird moments where he's not right.
Mhm.
Like usually he's spot on, but then there's some they're like blanking in my mind, but he's been wrong in the past. And so like with him saying all that and Woj saying nothing, I was like, okay, there's something like not right here. And then all of a sudden Woj drops that Dan Hurley thing. Um, but hey, it looks like Shams could just be right all along, and it will be Reddick, which is what it's feeling like. I think
Yeah,
Woj said that they'll have an interview with Borrego and then an official one with Reddick. And I don't know, that relationship with LeBron is definitely a huge benefit for
yeah,
Reddick.
yeah,
So I mean, it seems like that's the way they're going, but that is a huge downgrade to go from a back-to-back winning champ to a guy who has no experience. I'm happy about it.
yeah. I mean, it's yeah. I'm definitely happy that Hurley's not going there. I think he would have been able to figure it out. I will say I don't know if Hurley's like coaching style. I think his scheme and everything, and that would translate fine. I think if you're a good coach, you're going to be able to figure that out. But I think his coaching style, I don't know if it's built for an NBA team because he's like an intense guy, and the relationship between players at in the college level versus the NBA level are like way different. Like it is so ridiculous. Like it is complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Like if when you're a coach in college, you're like almost a father figure to these players. Like recruit them. You're with them from a very early age. You're giving them advice. You're telling them what to do. They have to respond to you. They have to know that you are the leader of the house. In most NBA teams, the coach is not the leader at all. It is one of the players, and especially so with the Lakers. Like Dan Hurley screaming and yelling and doing all this stuff in a Lakers locker room, like that's not going to fly over very well, I think, with a very veteran heavy team, especially with a guy like LeBron. So, you know, I mean that to me personally, that's what it is. Like I think as a coach, you're not like the most important guy on in the room when you're in the NBA. Rather, when you're in college, you are very much the most important guy in the organization. So I just think that would have been a little difficult. I think if he were to
Yeah.
go to a young team and he would be able to grow together with everybody rather than going to a older team, a team that's looking to win now and make moves now. Like if he were to go to like the Pistons or something, or if he were like, I know they're not going to get rid of Monty, but like I don't know, if you were going to like Portland, right? If they were to get rid of Chauncey and he goes to Portland, I think that would be a good spot for him because that's a young team. It's a team that needs a leader and it needs a guy in the locker room who people are going to listen to. That would be a good spot for him. But I don't think the Lakers job, I don't think was the right fit for him. Yeah, money in LA and Hollywood are pretty big draws, but
Yeah.
I
But
didn't think that
even
was the
like
right fit.
I would rather like just have my own like quiet place somewhere in like the trees and like beautiful Connecticut over like having to live in LA and like raise a family in Connecticut when you have all this money. Um I mean UConn will probably pay him like it was the Lakers gave him like 6 for 70.
Yeah,
I feel like UConn can't be like that far off, right? I mean that's like 10 million a year. Um
I think they could get close. I think
yeah.
they could
Yeah.
get close.
And having
And yeah,
his
I
whole
mean like
family there, it would just be a big like upheaval in his life to take that
yeah,
job. But
and college
maybe
coaches do this all the time too. Like Harbaugh did it last year. Like he
you
was
know,
in talks
he
to go
does
to the
it every
Broncos or
year.
wherever,
Yeah.
and he got the pay raise in Michigan, and he leaves the next year. Like it
I
happens.
could I
College
could see
coaches do it
this
all the
as
time.
like, yeah, like Hurley kind of now has this planted in his mind. I could see him taking an NBA job next year for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, huge news there. The better Hurley brother, sorry, sadly,
Unfortunately,
stays a UConn.
I mean, hey, ASU's like 2024 recruiting class is
I
like
know, I
insane though.
know.
Like
Yeah.
it's pretty good. They got 2 5 stars. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like so we'll see. We'll see how they look, but I don't know. Who knows?
It was funny you brought up father figure and we were like talking about Kyrie. Like I haven't like every time I hear father figure, I like think about Kyrie. I'm like, don't ask him
Yeah.
that question.
Yeah. That was actually insane because it's not like Kyrie's father was like out of his life or like a deadbeat. Kyrie's father was like very close with him.
I
They're
know.
very, very tight. Like that question to say to him is insane. Like like I would under it's not a good question to ask in any scenario, but I would understand if it was like, his father left him at an early age or he wasn't in his life and he grew up with just his mom and he was missing a father figure at that point in his life. But he wasn't at all in any way. At any point in his life, his dad has been with him. So it's just like I, that was just insane. That's just ridiculous.
I know. Bad interview moments are like something that just like always I'll just remember. I don't know what it is about him, but like I mean this Missoula thing, I'm gonna remember his answer forever. It's like, oh, what about Christian head coaches? It's so funny. Um,
Yeah.
but anyways, we want to like something else in the sports world. Maybe the Broncos College World Series has been crazy
Mm-hmm.
um, so far, but I guess Denver update with the Broncos. Like Sutton is back, which is nice. Very good to hear.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it looked like it was just going to be one of those holdout situations, and then you just trade him like a lot of other NFL players have done recently. But him being back, I think, is just huge for Bo Nix for this offense to have a veteran guy, and for Nix, as a rookie, just to rely on with contested catches and stuff. I think is just big time. I'm excited, man. Bo Nix apparently has been really good in practice, which I mean, I'm expecting him to be good. I'm expecting him to be better than Russell Wilson was this year. Um, just with the way he processes things. I'm hoping they don't. I heard this. I forget who said it, but they were saying like, all this praise with Bo Nix, and it seems like Sean Payton has gained or yeah, Sean Payton's gained Bo Nix trust for sure, and the other way around. Um, like hopefully Peyton doesn't give him too much on his plate. Like hopefully Peyton doesn't treat him like year 10 Drew Brees and give him that offense because he thinks, and I think Bo Nix can get to a point where he can run an offense like that, but he's still a rookie. So it's like I hope Peyton doesn't overload him with stuff and early at least, and have Nick still be comfortable in the first few weeks. But I mean, Sean Payton's a smart guy. I think he knows that. But yeah, I feel like maybe there could be a little too much confidence in a rookie quarterback. But that's a good thing as well.
Yeah, I like having confidence in him. I think you're spot on. I think he can be better than how Russ was here, just because of the scheme fit. I think Bo plays
Exactly.
just way better than Russ in terms of the scheme, in terms of short passing and then taking a shot very later, being a pocket passer, being able to see over the offensive line. Um, I think his style of play is just much more. It's much more conducive to what Sean Payton wants to do. But I'm also with you on that. I don't want him to do too much. Honestly, if Stidham starts week one, that's fine. Denver's not going to be good this season anyway. You're not wanting to play your necessarily your best players right away, but you want to set them up for success as best as you can for the future. So I think if Stidham starts week one, I think that's okay. And then if Bo starts, week 5 to the end of the year, or week 6 to the end of the year, I think that would probably be the best course of action. But if Bo is ready week one, which I think he could be, because I mean Sean Payton said right after the draft, Bo was the most pro-ready quarterback. That was Bo's major draft consensus over everybody else, was that he was the most pro-ready guy. If he's ready week one, that makes sense. So I'm not going to be like, no, he's not ready enough to do that. But you're definitely going to have to lean on the run game a lot. You're going to have to lean on short passing game. Sutton's going to have a good, intermediate season between the numbers. You can't rely on him going deep and catching all these contested throws because I don't think they're going to do it that much. Um, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to training camp because that's really when we're going to see the separation happen. Because right now they're alternating the reps between the ones. I mean, Zach Wilson's getting his fair share of reps with the starters as well. But once training camp happens, is when you're going to see the separation. So and that's not too far
Yeah.
away. It's like a month away. So we're going to get some answers pretty soon. But I'm excited. I mean, like I think Bo Nix has the best chance to be a franchise quarterback out of any guy Denver has had since like Jake Plummer, legitimately. So.
Yeah, let's hope. I'm really excited to see what Sun looks like in a more intricate, role. I feel like Michael Thomas ish kind of role, and where like maybe he'll be more in the middle of the field. And I mean, he was last year. It's just Russ wasn't throwing him the ball because he doesn't throw over
Yeah.
the middle of the field. But like every single good Sutton play last year was a deep ball from Russ or just him just throwing it up. But this year, I
Yeah.
think we're gonna actually see like I would say Sutton pre ACL injury was a terrific route runner down the middle of the field. And then, it didn't really seem like we got to see that these past couple of years with Russ. But we also like, I mean, is that Russ's issue or is that just Sutton like can't really run routes? And I think it's more Russ's issue. So, this year, him being the clear number one receiver with Judy gone, I think they're going to do a lot of stuff in the middle of the field for Sutton. He sometimes has like drop issues a little bit, I feel like, in the middle of the field, but I think he could have a huge year in this offense.
I think he can too. And honestly, I'm excited for how the offense is going to look because it's definitely going younger um, in all facets. I'm excited to see how Troy Franklin looks too. I think that's like kind of an underrated piece that Denver got rid of Judy, but they're able to get a guy who has a lot of chemistry with Bo. I think starting center is going to be Alex Forsyth, who was Bo's center in college. So, there's going to be chemistry there. I wouldn't be surprised if Bo starts week one. Um, if that were to happen, I'm definitely going to tune in and expect Denver to be bad, but you know, it's not going to be
Yeah.
it's not going to be the worst thing in the world. I think
I
Denver.
think he will. I think he will
Mhm.
start week one. Um, I mean, he is 24. People see that as like a bad thing, but I'd rather have this 24-year-old quarterback this year than a 21-year-old JJ McCarthy. For sure, because this is a position where you need to be mature. Uh out of any other position in sports, quarterback is probably the one position that you need the most maturity and like level-headedness in that person. Um and so with Bo Nix being older, I think is kind of a good thing, honestly. Joe
Yeah,
Burrow, we've seen how good he was coming into the league. The older quarterbacks drafted like list, like players that are older than Bo Nix is not good. It's like Brandon Whedon and like other guys drafted in the first round that just weren't good. But that whatever, that doesn't really. Bo Nix is a completely different person. Um, and so, yeah, I think he will start week one. Honestly, I feel like he seems like he's been the best quarterback in training camp, but Stidham is good too, as a backup quarterback, to your point.
yeah,
So, I mean, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see in preseason for sure. I think
yeah,
we'll get a good gauge after 3 preseason games which one should be the starter.
yeah.
Um,
And like you said, Bo's 24, so it's not like he's an inexperienced guy who you're throwing out
yeah.
there week one. Like I thought Gardner Minshew was going to start week one for the Colts the entire time. I was like, there's no way they're going to throw Anthony Richardson out there and just let him, you know, learn on the fly type of thing. But it was Gardner, or it was Anthony Richardson, and you know it. I guess it paid out. I guess kind of good. They were a good team, and Anthony Richardson played well. Obviously, he got hurt, but he didn't look bad. But it's not it's the situation where it's like you don't really want to put too much on his plate early because he might not be able to handle it. But this is a guy who he was the main dude in offense for almost every single season of his college career. He is an experienced guy. I would rather him start week one now rather than him sit a little bit and then him be the full time starter next year at age 25, where it's like, yeah, he should.
Yeah.
At that point,
Well,
you're expecting him to hit his prime in a couple of seasons, and it's like,
right. And
has he
that's
even played enough?
that's the weird thing about Atlanta. Like we're talking about that, and Atlanta literally is living it. It's like,
Mhm.
man, I still don't understand it, man. I mean, I think like Penix is a great quarterback, and I think he'll be good in the league. But like, like why pay Kirk Cousins if you're gonna take Penix, who outside of Caleb Williams, who's just an anomaly, is probably the most like best either him or Bo Nix. I feel like is the best rookie quarterback right now. And for you to like sign Kirk Cousins to this $170 million deal, you can't just like bench Kirk after 5 games. Like it's gonna have to be this. I feel like year-long leash for Kirk because you can't just spend 170 million and then just only have him play like 5 games. The media is going to be all over you. Like, what are you doing? And so you have to give Kirk this leash, or else you look like a terribly run, front office. Um, and then, as you said, by the time Kirk's leash is over with, Penix will be 25. Um, I mean, he'll be good, but man, I don't know what Atlanta's doing. But yeah, I mean, I think outside of Caleb Williams, I would take Bo Nix right now as like the second best rookie quarterback to like start right now. I mean, obviously, like Drake May and McCarthy went earlier because they are 21, but um, you know, having a product that looks like it's very good at 24 rather than like trying to bank on Drake May, who's not good right now, but could be good. I think is a good, route for NFL teams to take. So like, yeah, I really like Bo Nix.
Too. I think Bo has a chance to be really good. He's a good. I think he's got the right mentality. He's not like crazy. The other thing is he doesn't have a lot of like. I think he has room to grow, but he has a very very high floor, and I think he's gonna be a mid-level starter regardless. And honestly, honestly, Denver would have been a playoff level team if they had a mid-level starter
Exactly,
over the
right? That's what,
last
yeah.
5 weeks of the season. Like Russ was good during that win streak, but
But
from the
only
Houston
because he
game
didn't,
on, he
yeah.
was not good. Like he
He
was
was
not
really
good after
not
that
that.
Houston game.
The only good thing I found about Russ last year was just that he wasn't turning the ball over. And like
Yeah,
that was it. The defense was doing everything. When they had like 15 takeaways in 3 games or something,
Yeah,
and Russ got all the credit, I'm like, what? Like, I
it's
don't know, dude. People,
it's insane.
if you win in the NFL, like people just think the quarterback is just amazing and like nothing else gets recognition. But in reality, Russ started like over the 50-yard line. Not going to take all the sacks. He's probably a better like playmaker, scrambler than Russ is at this stage of their career. Russ, I guess, has a stronger arm, but Bo Nix is way smarter and can process things way quicker. And the ball will probably get to the slant route when it needs to with Bo Nix, and Russell Wilson won't even hit it. And so, I
I don't
mean,
even know if Russ has a stronger arm. Like Bo can fling it, and he was the
yeah,
most accurate deep passer in. I mean, he's the most accurate quarterback in college history by percentages. But he had a really good deep passer rating. Like this dude has the big playability in him. So, and when people say that he's just a dink and dunk guy and he's not really that crazy, like he has some ability to him. So I would say definitely give him a chance. There's a reason why Sean Payton likes him so much, and I guarantee Sean Payton knows more about football than us. So I think I think I think it'll be good. I honestly
yeah,
want him to start week one. Like that's the best case scenario is
yeah,
that he is ready week one. And I'm not expecting him to throw for 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns in year one, but if he throws for like 3,500 yards and like 24, 25 touchdowns, like for year one in a pro level offense, like that's not bad at all. And
yeah,
Denver's not expected to be good. There's no reason why you shouldn't start your older rookie quarterback too at that point. So we'll see. I'm excited. I think this is the first year I'm in a similar place where I am with the Broncos, where I am with the Rockies, where it's kind of like, listen, neither of these guys are gonna
dude.
be
We
good.
could talk about the Rockies. That like kind of gets me excited a little bit.
Rock, yeah. I mean, we don't have. We're almost.
Yeah, I know this has been like a long one, um, but man,
You talk about the Rockies.
the Rockies farm system is looking elite, and they're about to add the number 3 overall pick in just a month, which looks like it'll probably be another pitcher because it looks like picks 1 and 2 are like guaranteed. They're like two amazing hitters, and then pick 3 will be just like a crapshoot, but it'll probably be a pitcher for the
That
Rockies.
Wake
Yeah,
Forest guy, Chase Burns.
yeah,
I would like him. He looks like he plays with energy, and that is nice.
yeah. But I mean, like Dollander, however you say his name,
He
Dollander,
looks
whatever.
good.
Man, he is amazing. And then they've got other arms, but they're all like single A. But
It's gonna take
I
a
mean,
couple
it's
years for
cool.
them to get up here, but
Yeah, yeah. Which is fine. I mean, whatever. It's not. I mean, there's no rush, obviously. It's not like we're wasting Chris Bryant's career and prime out here.
no, no.
It's more like the other way around. Um, Somehow, like, yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it's nice having like Amador out there. It was really cool to see.
Yeah,
Hopefully, like Fernandez. I still don't know what Jake Cave is just doing, like in left field. Like, can we like get a young guy in there? Can we put Tolia out there full time, or just someone?
there's a guy in
Um,
AAA. Was it Eric Skunk,
yeah, yeah.
whatever?
I
Is
mean,
he an
even Bush.
outfielder or is he in an
I feel like
infielder?
he was drafted as a third baseman, but I don't know if he switched positions, honestly.
Okay.
But I mean, like Bouchard even could play out there. I mean, Jake Cave's like, there's nothing really against Jake Cave. Like, I feel like he's actually been a good veteran
Yeah.
leader and like presence, and his defense has been good. But like, what is the what is the point of him playing? As I don't know. I don't know. But it seems like the Rockies have really finally gone in towards this youth movement, and with guys like Veen coming soon and Fernandez. Um,
I mean, Amador's
Ryan
already up.
Ritter's been good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
The
fact that
only thing
Amador
with
got called up is like kind of surprising because he was like going back to last season, even in the minors in Double A, he was like bad, and all up until like 3 weeks ago, he was really bad, like horrifically bad in Double A. But then over the last 20 games, he has like a 1,200 OPS or something. He's just been
yeah,
ridiculously
and even
hot.
got
So,
a he got a hit off of Garrett Cole, even.
hmm
Um, But yeah, I guess he's kind of like Ozzy Albies ish, switch hitting, powerful second baseman, but he can also steal. So I mean, I guess it kind of shows that like him having that terrible start to in Hartford this year and not moving down the prospect rankings, I feel like shows that like these the talent evaluators really see talent in Amador for him not to get like a bump down after a one whatever batted like 180 in the first
Yeah,
like 3 months.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's cool. Um,
yeah. The Rockies. I mean, Carson Palmquist is another pitcher I have my eye on. He's also in, I think, High A in Spokane.
yeah,
Him and Dollander down there look really, really good. Um, I would
yeah, I
expect
like,
Dollander to get a call up at some point in the next couple of months because he looks way too good for High A.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm excited. I think in the next couple of years they're gonna be a good team because they have a lot. Like Tovar looks good, man. The game against the Cardinals, I don't remember it was the second game of the series, the third game of the series, 4 for 4, 2 home runs. He had like every single RBI that the team had. Um, he looks really, really good. Brenton Doyle's still doing good. His average has dipped since the beginning of the season, but he's still like a 260 hitter with
yeah,
still like platinum glove level defense. He's still gonna get you. Like leads the team in stolen bases by a mile again. Um, he's good. I would like to see some other outfielders called up. Yeah, I'd like to see Tolia out there. I feel like he's might be on his last chance this season to like make an impression. So I'd like to see him out there,
right.
especially instead of Cave, or even instead of Charlie. Like keep Charlie at DH and then have Tolia out there and right or something. But we'll see, we'll see. But the Rockies have promise. Like yeah, this season they're gonna suck. Next season they're probably also gonna suck. But they're not in as bad of a position as I think the rest of the MLB puts them out to.
Yeah, it finally feels like it's just been like this past couple years has just been this mix of like really bad like old guys and then just a young guy mate like sometimes comes up. But now it really feels like, with all these young guys maybe kind of coming in at around, within 2 years of each other, looking forward that like, and they've all played with each other in the minor league system. So I think like having, it seems like a good like chemistry boost too with these young guys. And yeah, I mean, Tovar is just an absolute stud. And I like the Ryan Ritter dude in the minors.
Mhm.
Um,
Triple
but
A, yeah, he's gonna get a
but
call
it
up soon, I would assume.
but it's so crowded though. It's like where does he even play?
Yeah,
Uh,
the infield, it's a good problem to have. There's a ton of
yeah,
infielders to have. Like Amador and Tovar right now are the guys up the middle. McMahon's playing too well. You're not obviously not going to take him out of the lineup for a young guy. Like at first would be the one spot that you could put someone, but
bro,
that's a
that
hard
that's been
position
the
to put someone
most
if they're like a second baseman or something.
that's been like the most disappointing thing I feel like this Rockies season is just how bad Montero is. He's really bad. I
Yeah,
mean, his defense is
yeah.
bad. His OPS is like 580. Like he's played most of the year and he has like 3 home runs when he should be this power guy.
Mhm.
I don't know. I had so much promise for him. I thought he was the best like piece in the Nolan trade. Um, he's
It's
been bad.
somehow Austin Gomber. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how, but it's somehow it's Austin Gomber.
Well, that's
Which
what's
hey, to his credit, he's pitched well this season.
the
He's been
starting
the Rockies'
rotation's
best
been
pitcher.
good actually. It's like
Yeah,
finally they have a decent starting rotation, but then their offense can't score and their bullpen is like
bullpen is so
historically bad.
the bullpen is ridiculously bad. Like Daniel Bard needs to come back immediately.
I forgot about
I
Daniel Bard.
like they keep putting Jalen Beeks as like the closing guy, and I've actually never seen him succeed in a high leverage situation.
I mean, you can't trust anyone. You can't trust Lawrence whatsoever. You can't
Mhm.
trust Beeks. I feel like there's another guy they put out there sometimes. It's just like I don't know.
I
The
like
the
Nick
oh
Mears.
Tyler
He's
Kinley
okay.
they put out there and he's just gives up so many runs.
I like I like Nick Mears. He's good.
Yeah, they have a
He's like
couple
the one arm in the bullpen where I'm like, yeah, he's a good guy.
and
Everyone else looks
Vodnik.
like
Vodnik's the other good
Vodnik. Yeah,
one.
Vodnik. He's good. He's he's like actually insanely good. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
glad
he's actually
that
good.
he was part of the Crone trade, right? To Atlanta last year, the year before, wherever.
Oh,
Someone
yeah, I know he came from Atlanta, but didn't we wait, did we trade Crone to the Angels or was it like some
who did who did we get from? We traded someone to Atlanta. I don't remember
Yeah,
who
I
we got
know.
him.
I know. I don't know.
Was it like a
Oh,
prospect
was
for
it
prospect trade?
or was it Hilliard? Sam Hilliard
No,
maybe?
Hilliard just signed there.
Signed there? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It was somebody somewhere. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. Regardless, Vodnik is good, but outside of that, I mean, Freeland should be coming back in the next like month, I think.
Ooh.
Uh, and then Marquez, I think he's
Mm.
starting to throw again. He should be. I think they said like August-ish for his recovery. Senzatella might be coming back at some point soon.
Oh my God, dude, these are all guys I forgot about. Wow, like
Yeah,
sensitive. I didn't even think about Marquez in the future at all. Um,
he's
but I
almost
mean, if he
30,
can,
so like he's
yeah, I know
like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, if he can kind of get back to what he was, like this rotation's got promise with Dollander and him and
mm,
some other minor league guys, and then maybe like Gomber, Fellner, or oh, I mean, Quantrill's been amazing too, and he's only like
Marshall's been really
29 or
good. Yeah,
something.
he's
Yeah.
been a very nice surprise. Um, Dakota Hudson over the last couple of games has been fine, but yeah, Quantrill's been like the best starter insanely. I don't know how, but he's been good. But yeah, Rockies have some promise. They do indeed have some promise. I think they're not in. I think there's like the Angels. I feel like are in a worse spot than the Rockies,
Right. They're
and
actually like fun to watch. Like yesterday, I was like, oh, I'm gonna turn on the Rockies game just because I want to see Tovar and I want to see Amador and Greg
mhm,
Jones, and McMahon sometimes. Um,
yeah.
but I
This
like
is
I
the
wasn't
first
doing
time
that in
I've.
years past.
This is the first like Rockies game where I turned it on like first pitch because I
Yeah.
wanted to see
Yeah.
Amador, and I was like, the first time in forever. I was watching the same time as the India Pakistan cricket game. And I was like, in
Oh,
between.
I haven't been following that. I mean, I just obviously I saw the U.S. beat Pakistan, which is crazy, but
Yeah, it's
um,
ridiculous. All right,
I mean,
U.S.
but
and
they're like
India play.
The whole U.S. team is just like Indians and like not
It's just Indian
Americans.
guys. Yeah, it's Indian and Pakistani guys. It's really funny. But
Are they like, wait, I wanted I was wondering this. Are those guys like, did they grow up in India and play cricket over there, or did they grow up in the US and like played cricket here? Are they like actually
some of
like
them,
Indians?
some of them are grew up here, but a lot of them grew up in India. But like they're citizens here. It's not like we
Yeah,
just
yeah,
took
no, I
them there.
know
Like
that. Right.
they're U.S. citizens, and they have like other day jobs, but
Yeah.
because they also play cricket, they got them out here. But yeah, I mean, it's at U.S. versus India is on Wednesday at like a normal time. So if you want to watch
So
that,
I'm gonna guess Patel is pitching because their whole team's Patel.
a lot of them are Patels. Yes, a lot of them are Patels. That's like the Smith of Indian last
Yeah,
names.
yeah. The Nicolas of India,
Yeah, that's yeah,
the Serbian Nikola.
yeah. Oh, it's like it's T20 is fun because like normal cricket games take like 2 days to actually finish. Like it's a long thing to watch, but T20s are good. It's a like 3 4 hours, but
So does
it's
this
pretty
like
quick.
qualify for like the Olympics or something like that, or like is it just
No, it's
a
like its own thing. It's its own like tournament. So like I don't remember if it was last. I think it was last year in the fall. It was a normal World Cup. It's like the big one where it's like the matches take like whole days. Um, and I think Australia won that one. I think India made it to the final, but Australia won that one. But this is the T20, so it's just instead of 50 overs, like I guess innings, it's only 20. So it's
Oh,
different,
that's
but
what that means. Okay.
yeah. So it's just a lot shorter. It's like it takes half the time to complete. Um, it's a lot
What
easier.
how have
A
you
lot
been
faster.
watching it? Is it on TV?
Well, the U.S. one might be, but we have like this thing. It's like a box, but it gives us like all the Indian channels, so we
Oh,
watch it through
true.
there. But I don't
That's
know
fine.
how to actually watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that they might televise the U.S. game. I'm sure there's some way to find it, but yeah, I don't know if you want to go through the hassle of it, but it's
Man,
it's not bad. It's fun
yeah.
to watch. If I guess if you know what's happening, it's fun to watch.
The French Open also ended tennis.
French Open did end.
There's a lot of
Alcaraz
sports
is
stuff.
a lot of sports stuff
Alcaraz
is
is
happening.
insane. He's
Yeah.
21 and has just won like in every single surface, whatever.
Only he hasn't won Australian Open's the one thing. It's insane. I saw a stat. If he wins the Australian Open in any of the next 3 years, he'll be the youngest person to win all four of the Grand Slams, which is insane. That he has 3 years to become the youngest. Like he is on a track
Oh my
that is just
god.
like ridiculous.
No,
But
that is crazy.
he's nuts. He's
I'm gonna be at the US Open for like a little
oh
bit. And then
nice.
it's crazy the Rockies play the Yankees like the same weekend. So I'm gonna go to that. It happens like once every 4 years.
Yeah.
Um, just watch Aaron Judge feast.
Just watch Tyler Kinley throw him a meatball down the middle and
Yeah, yeah.
hit
But
it
who knows,
back in the
man?
river.
I'll literally probably be the only Rockies fan there. And if the Rockies win, like I'll streak the field or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Waving my
We're gonna
Chris
be on
Bryant jersey.
yeah. We're gonna be on side talk outside.
Yeah.
uh,
All right. That was a
I
good
think
sports
that's it.
update. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it. I mean, I guess there's nugget stuff. We can talk closer to the draft about that. I know it's in the title
Oh,
first, but
right.
we can just talk. We've talked a lot. We can get closer to the draft. We'll talk more about that. But a couple guys I got my eye on. Hopefully Denver can take. But honestly, hopefully they trade the pick. That would be my ideal scenario. But we'll see what happens. We'll see closer to draft time what the consensus is and what they're gonna do. But yeah, hopefully Dallas can make this a series. I don't want this to end quickly. But yeah, unless you got anything else, that's gonna be it.
Nope. Stay tuned for the draft prospects. You don't want to miss that.
Yes, we will have something about it.
Yep.
We'll talk about it at some point. But yeah, until